Welcome back to another week on the farm. It is currently the 1st of February, so we are once again legally allowed to spread some slurry. We are going to have to spread some slurry over the next few days because every single one of our tanks has reached the top at exactly the same moment. Ideally, we will get a few loads of slurry out this afternoon, and tomorrow it gives some rain again, and then we will get some more slurry out on Saturday. That is my plan, but before I can act on that plan, I need to go and find some fields that are dry enough. So I did check 2 fields last night, and I thought they were going to be workable, but they weren't. They were just too wet, would have made a mess. So the first field we're going to check this morning is almost always the first field that we spread slurry in. Mainly because of access. It's right beside the road and there's only one wet spot in the field and it's very easy to avoid. So let's park up, I'll get out and we'll see what the field's like, and let's hope for the best. Okay, so you can probably tell from the smile that this is actually much drier than I was expecting. Definitely workable. This is such a relief. Oh my goodness, this is such a relief. Okay, good. We can actually get some slurry out today. Honestly, after the 2 fields last night, I expected this to be the same, with loads of squelching underfoot, but it's not too bad. The one issue, which is always the issue with this field, is the gate is at the bottom of the hill, and we have to climb to the top of the hill with the tankers, but it should be fairly straightforward if it's this dry, so that's good. Let's go check a field on the other side of the hedge. It's normally wetter, but it has much better access and there's no hills, so maybe it will work and it would maybe be the better choice. So this is the second field, the field with the lane the whole way along the side of it, so it's really good for booming slurry. But the issue with this field is that this whole bottom bit down here is a wet mess. So let's see how dry it is, and that will sort of make our decision for us. You know what, it's actually fine. It's actually not even that wet, like it's properly firm underfoot. A wee bit squelchy here, but there's a wet track, but we can avoid it. I'll just check around the gate to be sure, because there's nothing worse than driving into a field and instantly getting stuck. Oh yeah, this is definitely fine for slurry. It's a tiny wee bit squelchy, but it's not like I'm sinking in. It's really firm underfoot. Yeah, I think this is our field. Okay, that's the decision made. This second field is our option for today, mainly because we can fill the whole way along that hedge. We boom all our slurry with an overhedge boom, so it really minimises traffic around the gates and just makes it so much easier to get a wet field spread. Now this field is not wet, okay? It's dry. There's going to be no runoff, so don't freak out. I made the mistake yesterday of posting a TikTok of me going to check them other 2 fields, and I said in the video that one field was too wet, and it definitely was. It was like really squelchy, but the second field was probably okay, but it would leave some marks, and I got like 6 or 7 comments from people being like, you shouldn't be spreading slurry if it's too wet. I'm like, no, it's not too wet to spread slurry, it's just not perfect conditions. If you're ever going to be spreading slurry outside of maybe 3 months of the year in Northern Ireland, it's not perfect conditions. It's just the reality of farming here. So it's not going to have any runoff issues. We're fine. It's just not perfect for a 14 or 15 ton tractor and tanker. Ideally, we like to get this farmer ground done first because it's been consistently low in P and K in the soil. So the earlier we get slurry on this ground, the more grass yield we get. It's like really important to get these fields done first. Okay, let's go get the pump into a cow tank, get it mixing, get the 8S filled with diesel, and we will get the GPS systems in. If I have time before lunch. If I don't have time, I'll leave them till another day. Sorry, that was my neighbour pulled up for a chat. I do some amount of chatting at the minute. Flip is mental. So I have to go and grab a new scraper on my way back to the farm. I broke the hand scraper this morning and I really need to get it replaced. I also want to mention the farmer protests in this video. The French have went wild. They've done so well, got so much media coverage, and now there is pretty widespread calls on social media for UK farmers to join in and start their own public protests. Let me give you my thoughts. In the video 2 weeks ago, I sort of highlighted that the reason why the Germans and the Dutch were successful, and indeed the reason why... Someone's phoning me. I'll answer that later. And the reason why the French were successful is because they were united. All of the farmers were in it together, they all agreed something needed to happen, they all went out in protests. We do not have that in the UK. There is not that sense of unity of purpose, the unions aren't on board. There's a lot of things which mean that we cannot copy the French and the Germans. So we need to do our own thing. We need to come up with our own plan that's going to work for UK farmers. Got my new scraper, but something which always annoys me and confuses me is why the wooden shafts don't fit in to the scraper. Like, am I dumb? Am I doing something wrong? But I always have to trim a little bit off the shaft to put it into the hole. Let me try hitting it with a hammer. Like, am I stupid to cut a bit off this? Or is that just what you have to do? I don't know. I'll leave this till later. I need to get the slurry mixed. Now to find a slat lifter. This is always the challenge. Can't find it yet. It might be in the pump tractor. Still no slat lifter. There's 2 places left which it could really be. One is in the back of the cow house and the other is the heifer house. I'm going to guess it's the back of the cow house, but it'll probably be the last place I'll look. Ah, freak. There's so much crap on top of the grid. We really need to get 4 load out of this tank today, at least. It should be easy. And then that means it'll do it for 2 weeks. And on Saturday we can move to one of the 2 cow tanks and get 4 or 5 load out of it. And then on Monday, when it might be dry enough before the rain comes next week, we could get a few load out of the 3rd and final cow tank. And then we'd be good until towards the end of February, and by then it's bound to have dried up. But around, the fields are not wet, it's just there's only a few fields we can do, and we want to do as little as possible this early in the year to avoid leaving tracks. So it's about getting enough out now that we can leave the majority of the slurry until the end of February, March, when hopefully things will dry up. Does that make sense? Hopefully. You'll now get to see that I do not farm alone. What? No, we're doing slurry now, we're not horning calves. Chance. What? Well, it depends, are you free? Yeah, I do.
See how we get on with loading, but that's just maybe.
Yeah, we'll try a load before lunch and see how we go on. What? No, that's fine. I want to get 4 load done, so we have plenty of time. Okay, so I'm going to have to charge this camera, so forgive me for skipping this next bit, but I'm going to go hook on the little slurry tanker onto the little Massey, and I'm going to put in the tanker timer box, which is sat here over winter, and we're going to head over to the field and do 1 load before lunch, check that it's dry enough, check it all works. If it's not dry enough and I get stuck, I'll video it on my phone for you, but I'm assuming it should be okay, and I'll catch up with you after dinner whenever we'll be spreading a few more loads. So charge my camera and I'll see you then. Change of plan, you're coming with me now. Also got my tanker timer set up again, so I'll show you that working again in the field. So this is the moment of truth. Is it dry enough, or am I being pulled out backwards after a total mess? It's kind of nice to be driving back into a field after nothing for 3 months. And it is okay. I'd say that's acceptable considering it's February. I would definitely judge that to be acceptable. We'll start up here and we'll work our way down this far hedge, and then we've less to travel to get back to the tanker, and down there is the wetland. I understand this is a very abrupt end to this YouTube video, but I have like 4% battery left in this camera, so this is as much as you're going to get. Hope you enjoyed that. I know it's a lot shorter than usual, but it'll give you an idea of some of the decision making that goes into running a farm and the stress that is getting slurry out on the 1st of February, and that you just have to make decisions quickly, you have to be flexible, you're ready to go whenever you can get some slurry out. I'm sure I'll give you a fuller length video on slurry at some point in the future, probably after silage when we have 2 tankers carting. It's a bigger operation, but for now, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, like the video, subscribe if you really did. Any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm going to go and try and get my 4 or 5 load of spread, my 4 or 5 load of slurry spread today. I almost forgot to show you the tanker timer, and I've like 2% battery left at this point. So whenever I opened the back door of my tanker, the hydraulic sensor automatically started this timer. It's still calibrated from last year, so I want 2,000 gallons an acre. I'm going at 4.3 at the minute, and that'll tell me how much is left in my slurry tanker. So we currently have 60%. And I never have to touch a button the rest of the day. It'll count how much gallons I've spread, it'll tell me what speed to drive if the slurry gets thicker or thinner, and it'll also give me a sight glass which actually works, so I know how much is left in my tanker, and I don't need to spin around and start spreading in a different spot of a wet field when I only have 3% of my slurry left. So I'll show you plenty more details on this over the next few weeks, as I am now selling these direct to consumer, if you like. I need to set up the website, I need to get the whole system set up. If you want one before I have the website made, whether it is with the hydraulic sensor or just the touch button, message me, send me an email. I can still sell you them, I just don't have the website set up yet. That really is the end of the video. I will catch you all next week. Thank you very much for watching.